Hi Year 8 and welcome to what I think is likely to be the final help video of this term. Hope you have been enjoying the unseen poetry. We've been very impressed with the responses that we've had. I do apologise, you might be able to hear my washing machine just finishing off in the background, some added highlight for you. To compensate though, instead of you just reading the poem through yourself, I have arranged at great inconvenience to have the poet himself read you his poem. Okay, so we're going to hear Langston Hughes himself reading Mother to Son. Here goes, I'm hoping this works.
Well, son, I'll tell you. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor, bare. But all the time, I've been a-climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you set out on the steps 'cause you finds it's kinda hard. Don't you fall now. For I's still going, honey. I's still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
So just to clarify, in case you were wondering, I don't in fact have Langston Hughes sitting in my conservatory with me himself. I found him reading the poem on Spotify, so that's something you could do yourselves, and there's lots and lots of his other poems available there as well. So let's have a look at the prompt questions and the key questions. So first of all, we've got, how does the speaker explain the journey of life? So this is a really nice big clue for us, okay? So if we're confused about the poem at all, we already know that the poem is about the journey of life. And then we get a little bit more information. In this poem, the speaker gives advice to her son about what he should expect in life. So we already know some really important details, and obviously the title of the poem, Mother to Son, as well, is a real giveaway for us. So this is the voice of Langston Hughes' mother speaking to him. It's kind of like, you know, I hope you have wise parents, like I had a very wise mother. But sometimes, you know, when things are tricky, I kind of almost can kind of hear my mum's advice kind of echoing around my head. And I wonder whether that's what's happening here as well. So it starts very colloquially, doesn't it? And she addresses him directly. Well, son. So it's just like they're almost like having a little chat. And she says, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. And I love this. I love the fact that she uses these kind of informal, colloquial expressions, because you really get a sense of the fact that she's not had an easy upbringing and that she doesn't enunciate all of the words kind of in the Queen's English, but you get a sense of her personality and her background, and it kind of rings true for the message that she's given in the poem. So if we start having a think about these questions, we've got, what is a crystal stair an allusion to? Okay, and basically this question means, what on earth is she going on about, or is the poet going on about when they talk about life hasn't been a crystal stair? Well, let's think about crystals. Okay, for me, crystals make me think about things like jewellery or really posh cut glasses. They're associated with luxury. And if I think about those things, like anything that's made of crystal is kind of shiny and beautiful and expensive. And I think what the speaker is saying is that their life hasn't been like that. Their life has been the opposite. That, you know, crystal is smooth and light reflecting and all of that. And they're saying, actually, my life has been really, really difficult. Okay. And they use this extended metaphor, and they having stated that life hasn't been a crystal staircase, they go on to tell you a little bit about actually if their life is a staircase, what does that staircase been like? Okay, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. We need to answer question 2. What could stairs symbolise? Well, I think really you're kind of given the answer to this up here in the key question. The stairs kind of symbolise the journey of life. Oh, look, my stairs are going a bit wonky there. But they could also symbolise something like kind of progress or ongoing effort or struggle, something like that. And when she's talking about the staircase that she has had to climb and continue to walk on through her life, she's extended the metaphor and she's explained that, you know, there's tacks in the staircase, like those little tiny little nails and splinters and boards torn up. So if you try to imagine what that staircase might look like, there's all little bits in it that could hurt you, that could make you bleed, that would be dangerous if you slipped on. So she's using this imagery here, this extended metaphor, to explain how difficult her life has been. And the next question, question 3, is why does the speaker repeat "and" in lines 5 to 8? And they also do it again a little bit later on in the poem down here as well. And I mean, it is totally up to interpretation. Perhaps she's saying it wasn't that they just had one difficulty, it was that sometimes the difficulties came in succession, that there was stairs with splinters and then there was stairs with boards torn up. So it might be lots of bad things kind of happening at once, okay, but they persist. And here you've got their kind of reaction. Despite all these difficulties, she's continued climbing on and reaching up and reaching landings and turning corners. And for me, this is where the imagery starts to get a little bit kind of more positive, really. Like if you were thinking about climbing up a great big staircase, maybe if you're, I don't know, going to a big music venue or something like that, actually it's quite a relief when you get to the landing. It's like a little rest, isn't it? You feel like you've got halfway up or some of the way up. So perhaps she's kind of showing by continuing and pressing on through all these hardships that she's going somewhere, she's making progress. So question 4 asks you, can you explain why line 9 only has one word, bare? Okay, well, I think this is really successful, because if something is bare, it means that there's nothing there. So it kind of sort of stands out to us how much hardship she had to endure, and it might suggest the lack of help. Or the very, very poor starting point that she had, that she came from nothing, that there was nothing to cushion her feet against the hard journey of life. Question 5 is, why do you think the poet uses a list of ing verbs, climbing, turning, reaching? Okay, so that's the bit that we were just sort of talking about a little bit earlier, wasn't it? So there's the climbing, the reaching, the turning, the going. Okay, and I think it's this sense, these present participles kind of create the sense of ongoing progress and effort. They don't give up. I think that's essentially it. Their effort keeps on going. And then question 6, what is the key piece of advice in lines 18 to 24, and why does the mother feel like this? So if we find lines 18 to 24, they look like they are this bit. Okay, so boy, don't you turn your back, don't you turn back, don't you sit down on the steps. I think she means sit down on the steps, because you find it's kind of hard. So I think her information, her key bit of advice is clear, isn't it? Don't give up. And I wonder why she feels that way. Perhaps it's because she has worked so hard and fought so hard to overcome adversity to get to where she has got in life. And I think that she's urging her son to not compromise his efforts, because if he did, he would almost be kind of letting her down because she has battled through even when things have been really, really tough. So I hope that's been useful, Year 8, and I will look forward to reading your responses.